And a good Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Peyton Malone. We're tracking the tropics here. We've been keeping an eye on our tropical disturbance and in the northern Gulf of Mexico. Really not seeing anything much more organized than it was yesterday. Now, we do certainly have a broad low pressure. You can see it spinning across the northern Gulf there, and the broad low pressure, let me draw on here for you. You can see they're spinning. The storms off the coast of Louisiana are going south. The storms off the coast of Florida are going north. So this is our broad surface trough here, and really hasn't been organizing much more over the past, we'll say 12 hours or so. Now, when you look at some of the radar here, it does have multiple areas of spin, and this is pretty common in unorganized tropical disturbances. You get mid-level spins, but we don't have any prominent surface-based low-level circulation with persistent storms firing near the center. That's what you need for it to be classified as a depression. So just because you have areas of spin embedded here and there in a broad circulation doesn't necessarily mean it's a depression, but it is a broad low pressure. Here's a closer look at one of the spins off the Florida coast, so some interesting features there. That'll be interesting. That's going to be moving into Florida today, dumping heavy rainfall. But if you look further to the east or further to the west off the Louisiana coast, not really seeing any closed tight level circulations just around that broad low. Now, the feature itself, it does not have a lot of wind shear. I was just looking at it, and there is not a lot of upper level winds right over where this disturbance is sitting. So where it's sitting, it's kind of in a calm spot right in here is where the disturbance is. Now, there is an upper level low spinning down here. There's also a trough up here, and there's a bit of a northerly shear, just a little bit, but it's not much. So shear is not a huge impact, but it is some impact, and it is such an unorganized system that the shear is certainly having at least some impact. Now, another portion, notice this dry air over Louisiana and into Mississippi. This is associated with a decaying cool front that was in the region. Some of this dry air is certainly imparting on part of this system. That's why there's no rain on the north side. That's why all this rain is in the Gulf of Mexico. So for today, maybe even tomorrow, rain is going to be hit or miss in Louisiana because we've got all this dry air. But by Thursday, we may see enough of this dry air filter out and enough moisture move in, and rain chances really increase, especially on Thursday. So I want to walk you through Precision Cast here. This is one of our more high resolution models, and I think it's doing a pretty good job on how this could play out over the next, we'll say 72 hours through at least Thursday. So notice right now this morning, Tuesday morning, all the rain, heavy rains in the Gulf of Mexico. And keep in mind, as I put this in motion, notice there's a couple of areas of spin here. So that's why it's still given a low chance to try and organize into a depression. It could still do it. It doesn't look like it'll organize much, but it could, and it could get that depression status. This is tonight. Notice not a whole lot going on. A little spin maybe off of the coast of Mississippi or Alabama. Something to watch. As we go into tonight, a few showers and storms, but look what happens on Wednesday. Showers and storms blossom back up, and a lot of these are in the Gulf of Mexico, maybe off towards the Florida Panhandle and Mobile area, but still not a ton of rain in southeast Louisiana. That's Wednesday. Let's go into Thursday. Notice by Thursday, showers and storms decay and then blossom back up as we go into Thursday morning into Thursday afternoon. So the overall trend here is that there's going to be ups and downs with this system. It not being organized. Storms will develop mainly late overnight in the morning hours. It'll rain during the day, and then in the evening things usually wind down. That's how these tropical features usually work when they're very messy and unorganized like this. As you notice, Thursday could have a more widespread showers and storms across, but still breaks in the rain. It's not a widespread persistent rain that lingers for 12 to 24 hours like you sometimes see with tropical storms, like you sometimes see with hurricanes. So this thing will have up and down moments to it. Now, with that being said, rainfall totals, the highest totals are going to be hit or miss. I don't see us all getting 10 to 15 inches of rainfall. I just don't see that happening in this scenario, but there could be pockets that are over 8 inches, and these are going to be isolated areas where it could rain heavy a couple days in a row, and that just starts to add up. This model, what I'm just showing you here, really paints the same picture as what we're thinking. Lots and lots of rain just on our doorstep in the Gulf of Mexico, where you could see totals over 10 to 15 inches in the Gulf. But as you get inland, it looks like it's going to be much more isolated, where you get little pockets, maybe 4 to 8 inches with more widespread 2 to 4 inches. That is manageable. Now, there's going to be plenty of breaks in the rain over the next 3 days, but at times the rain will be heavy. If it falls in the wrong spot, if it falls in an area with poor drainage, you're going to see street flooding. So it is something to keep an eye on, but the widespread flooding issues don't look as likely as what they maybe looked like yesterday. Certainly things could still change. This is evolving. It's a weak tropical system. These things are a mess. They are a headache to forecast. They are harder to forecast than a hurricane just because they are so unorganized. But I will say, right on our doorstep, you could see some pretty heavy rainfall totals, and especially if you live down towards the bayou parishes, lower Terrebonne, lower Lafourche, lower Plaquemines, near the coastline. You definitely want to watch the forecast. You do have a bit higher chance of seeing some heavier rain than for areas, let's say, on the North Shore in the metro, at least the widespread heavy rain. So it does warrant watching in. The flood risk will be elevated, hit or miss today, but more so tomorrow into Thursday and maybe even into the end of the work week as well. So that is the latest on our tropical disturbance. Still unorganized, still going to be mainly a rainmaker for areas from Louisiana to the Florida Panhandle. You definitely want to make sure you're checking back in daily. Check in a couple times a day if you would like to make sure nothing has changed. And while it could still become a depression over the next couple of days, maybe into the end of the week, right now it looks like that would probably be the extent of it. Depression, even if it did become a weak tropical storm, it would still be a rainmaker for some. So that's going to do it for our Tuesday morning, July 12th tropical update. I'm meteorologist Peyton Malone. Thank you so much for joining me.